What's going on, everybody? It's Achilles LBT coming at you with a brand new build video, and in today's video we will be revisiting Raynor post-patch, new abilities or new talent builds, all that good stuff. And this is just the first of a few build videos I think that I have to redo. Well, technically, if you want to count the Sonya one I did it before the patch, but I guess technically if you want to count that, but I digress. Raynor has received a major buff in the last patches. A lot of people probably know by now, and some of his talents have been reworked. Although there's some differences to his build now that I felt like it warranted a brand new video to try and get people on track. And just something that I want to point out real fast. I thought Raynor was a very good hero before the patch. Now it's to the point where his power level is almost a little bit ridiculous. He was always fun to use before, in my opinion. Now, like his damage rating is on par with his fun factor, and it's just something that he's just a lot of fun to use. He's even more fun to use now than he was before. So just going over his abilities real quick, just in case you're new to the game or new to the channel. His Q ability is Penetrating Round. You fire a shot damaging and knocking back enemies in a line that deals 85 damage and knocks enemies back. So that can't be right. It says the cooldown is 1 second. There's no way that's right. Unless they changed that and I didn't know and I've been on some desolate planet somewhere. I'm just gonna ignore that. But basically, Penetrating Round is an ability. This is basically Raynor's one offensive ability, like his one attack amongst his basic abilities, because the other two abilities are like on the buff side. So basically, Raynor is to his core an auto attack hero, and this is basically his main means of offense. Or if you tend to find another way to use this ability, you use it the way I do. I use this as a defensive maneuver. If there's one common mistake that I always see inexperienced Raynor users like committing, I guess, is that they tend to use, because Penetrating Round is his one like offensive ability, they tend to use Penetrating Round for wave clearing, and that's absolutely something you do not want to do. That is not the point of this ability at all. You do not want to use this for wave clear. So this is just something that basically knocks people off of their blocks. If somebody's getting a little too aggressive, you could just Q them out of it. If the butcher's charging at you, you could just Q at him a little bit, or Q before he charges or whatnot. But this is basically a very good ability if you use it defensively, just as good as if you try to use it offensively. Moving on to his W, Inspire. It increases his attack speed for self and allies. You gain a 30% bonus attack speed for 6 seconds. Nearby allies gain half of the bonus. That includes minions as well. They also get half of this bonus. Now, Inspire is a very good ability on its own, but the thing that kind of makes this ability stand out, and this is something that I wanted to get out of the way with Raynor. Raynor is, because he's such an auto attack focused hero, from the onset, he is mana incarnate. He never, ever has an issue of running out of mana, ever. It just does not happen. And if it does happen, I would love to know how you can pull that off, because I couldn't pull it off even if I tried. Like, it's insane. Like, he's got mana for days just off the fact that he really doesn't have any reason to use it. Like, he's only got 2 abilities from the onset that he can use, so that has a lot, that plays a big part in that. But long story short, to a certain extent, you should be spamming this W the entire time you're playing, to a certain extent. Like, you want to use this as much as possible. The 10-second cooldown is really not that big when you consider that you have the bonus for 6 seconds. So it's just something to keep in mind, and it's very handy. And like, if you want a starter's tip, if you're brand new to Raynor, for when to use Inspire, anytime you're around an enemy hero. Anytime you're around an enemy hero, you should queue this bad boy up and just focus on the enemy hero until they run away. And trust me, that's kind of the biggest thing that they boosted on Raynor. Yeah, they made a big deal about the talent reworks and things of that nature, but what really makes Raynor OP now is the fact that they upped his auto attack damage. And I didn't really feel like it was necessary, but I wasn't exactly upset that they did it either, and it's just insane how much stronger he is now, and it's fun times. It's fun times when you're using Raynor. It's fun times. So moving on to his E. Adrenaline Rush, you automatically heal when low on health. This ability automatically activates to heal for 160 when you are below 30% health. Now, as I mentioned in my original build video for Raynor, you can actually talent build this ability to be activated manually. And whereas I didn't do that before, I didn't do that at the time that I made the first build video, it was something that I started doing before he got patched. And it's something that I continue doing now in this current build, so we will get into that because it is going to be your one source of healing. And for some reason, there are people out there who think that you have to choose between a damage Raynor and a sustain Raynor. And my build here is here to show you that that's not true at all. That you can have both and be just fine. So it's just something to keep in mind, for like as far as where this build video is going. Moving along to his trait, Advanced Optics, he has increased basic attack and sight range. Basic attack range is 20% further than any other ranged heroes, and you see 10% further than other heroes. So this ties in directly. Like, this was always good, sure, but with the increase they made to Raynor's auto attack now, this trait is monstrous now, because not only are you hitting people harder when you auto attack them, but now you're hitting them harder from farther away. Like, they have to close that gap a little bit more with Raynor than they do with other ranged heroes. And half of the name of the game with Raynor is positioning, knowing where your range is, knowing how far you have to be to hit heroes, and knowing when to disengage. Again, I know I sound like a broken record. I say this all the time, but it's vital. It's vital. It's vital. If you're tired, if you support my videos, if you watch my other videos, and you're tired of hearing me say it, I'm sorry, but it's vital. You have to know when to disengage. And Raynor is one of those heroes that if you know when to disengage, you're damn near impossible to deal with. And I'm not overselling that at all. It's something that I'm pretty sure I'm going to be able to showcase in the second half of this video. So just again, stay tuned to that. Moving on to his heroics. Hyperion calls down a strafing battle cruiser. You order the Hyperion to make a strafing run, dealing 25 damage a second, hitting up to 4 enemies. Also occasionally fires its Yamato cannon on structures for 300 damage and lasts 12 seconds. Now, I'm just going to put this out there ahead of time. You don't use Hyperion to damage enemy heroes. That's not the purpose that it serves at all. It does have a bit of a crowd control element to it. Like, it doesn't slow anybody, it doesn't stun anybody, but it does have the same desired effect of a crowd control ability, like an AoE ability, because when you call this thing down, everybody scatters, and it's not something like when you're on the receiving end of it, you have the same impulse too. You don't want to stand underneath this thing deliberately, because eventually the damage piles up. But this is a good ability that you can use like on objectives, like on like tributes or whatnot. You can use this ability on a tribute if you want to stall. Like, if you're the only player there and your teammate is on the way, you can easily just call down a Hyperion over the tribute just to get the enemy team to back off a little bit and buy you some time for your teammates to come in and help. It's a very, very, very good heroic. And it's good because of the other things that it does, not because of like it has high damage. And the biggest reason you really want to go with Hyperion is for that Yamato cannon that they mentioned at the bottom of the description that hit structures to 300 damage. That is monstrous. Let me tell you, I don't actually use Raynor's heroic on heroes almost at all if I can help it. Like, this is a good heroic for lane pushing, for like countless reasons. And it's something that if I feel like I can take out forts and turrets, or even just get them to the point where they can be taken out, I'll use it. I don't care about the 100-second cooldown on this ability, because I can survive just fine off of Raynor's basic abilities, like his basic talents. I can survive just fine. So I'm not worried about it. And again, with this build, you'll see exactly how that's possible. But in my mind, there's no question in my mind between the two heroics that Hyperion is definitely the way you want to go. Now, getting into Raynor's Raiders. You summon a pair of Banshee escorts. It summons 2 stealth Banshees that attack an enemy. Each Banshee deals 16 damage a second and lasts 22 seconds. You can reactivate the ability to retarget the Banshees. That was something that they added in the last patch. Like, not this patch that just passed, but the one before it, the previous one. Now, I just want to make it clear, I don't have an issue with Raynor's Raiders at all. The problem is it essentially does the same exact thing that you can do with your auto attack, only you don't have to be around. You can just let them chase people for you. And I see this common thought process that Raynor's Raiders are better for securing kills. And like if you wanna go for kills, you should go for this heroic. Well, that's in my opinion and something that I proved to be kind of factual for in all honesty. Um, that's false. That's false. You don't need a heroic to secure kills with Raynor. You can secure kills just fine off of his regular stuff. Like, especially now that he's been buffed. You damn sure don't need a heroic to further do what you can already do just fine without it. And that's why Hyperion is definitely the way to go. Another thing about Raynor's Raiders is that they can be taken out. Like they don't exactly fly out of sight. They are noticeable once they start attacking people. And if the enemy team is smart, they actually do focus those things down, and it basically goes to waste. Kind of like the new water elemental. Same thing. If the enemy team focuses the water elemental down, it's really not going to have any room to do anything. So that's just something to keep in mind. Sorry if there's a buzzing noise in the background. I don't know what that is, but that just started happening out of nowhere. So, getting into the talent build, again, I just want to make this abundantly clear. It hasn't been so bad as it was in June, but there are still a crowd of people out there who, for some stupid reason, think to go for a siege build with Raynor, and it just really, really boggles the mind. I don't understand what the thought process is behind it. I will say that Raynor does have specialist-like qualities about him, and he absolutely can solo lanes by himself, no matter who he's playing against, specialists included. But that's no reason whatsoever to build him around siege talents, and it's something that you can still do even without building for siege talents. So again, his level 1 pick, in my opinion, his talent level 1, it really, really like dictates the rest of the build. It really does. No matter what you pick, if you go for a siege build, you're going to be nerfed on some front when it comes to hero fighting. There's just no other way to cut it. I've seen it time and time again. Somebody picks either the Raiders recruitment or the scouting drone, and then their damage numbers by the end of the game, of a lengthy game, are not on par with what they should be. So, the general rule of thumb between his talent 1 picks, some people, again, this is what I mentioned earlier, they think you have to choose between a sustain Raynor or a damage Raynor. And this build proves that to be false. So, at level 1, you're still going to go Seasoned Marksman. That has not changed. They did change Seasoned Marksman, though. For every 6 enemy minions or captured mercenary kills near your hero, you gain 1 basic attack damage. So basically, every 6 stacks, you get another point added to your attack, your auto attack, which was already buffed on Raynor, so this just makes it even stronger. Now, what they changed is that hero takedowns now count as 3 minion kills. So basically, 2 heroes gets you it guarantees you a stack. So now those kills actually matter that much more towards Seasoned Marksman. Seasoned Marksman is that much better now that they changed that, because before it just counted as 2, so it's like you had to kill 3 heroes, and like that's not something that, you know, I mean, I used to get like between anywhere between 30 to 50 stacks by the time the game ended, but that's because I was dedicated to it. And that's still you still need to dedicate yourself to Seasoned Marksman. If you're going to pick this talent, you have to put in the time to actually get some value out of it. And this is not like the Butcher's stack system where every time he dies, he loses stacks. You absolutely keep these stacks no matter what. So that's even more incentive to put work and time into it. Moving on to talent level 4. This was actually one of the big talent levels that they actually took out a lot of options that didn't need to be there and reworked them into other talent options. And this is actually a big reason why my build allows for you to be damage heavy and sustain heavy at the same time. A lot of people have this thought process that you basically have to go flip-flopping with talent level 1. If you go give me more, you have to go focus attack. If you go Seasoned Marksman, you have to go vampiric assault. That's not the case at all, but again, that'll come into play on the next talent. So at level 4, again, I covered this on a whole separate video. Focus attack, the new focus attack, every 10 seconds, your next basic attack against a hero deals 75% additional damage. Basic attacks are reduced by this cooldown, reduces cooldown by one second, excuse me. The big thing about focus attack is that, excuse me again, it is absolutely guaranteed to go off against heroes. There is no more of this bullshit where it can go off against minions. It only works against heroes, and that was my biggest complaint with the ability back before it got patched, and I have absolutely adored the ability ever since they switched it. So, to kind of already point out some synergy here, Season Marksman is already adding, like, they already buffed Raynor's auto attack. I mentioned it twice before. His auto attack is already strong as it is, stronger as it is now. Season Marksman is just going to make it that much stronger, and every 10 seconds, your focus attack is going to add another 75% to everything that's already been put on this character. Just let that information really sink in, and you start to understand why Raynor is so goddamn OP now. It's fucking glorious. So, level 7, some of these talents got moved up. Putting on a clinic used to be at level 13, if I remember correctly, and they moved it up to 7, which I actually do think is a good idea because it's not a talent that warrants being in the late build. Like, it's something that if you wanted to use it, I definitely think that you should have it early on. Whenever an enemy, minion, hero, or captured mercenary you have recently damaged is destroyed, your ability cooldowns are reduced by 1.5 seconds. That's a very good passive, but it's also not where we're going with this build. Now, one thing I wanted to mention is that I used to actually go with Revolution Overdrive. You gain movement speed for Inspired Hero. You gain 10% movement speed while affected by Inspire. Increase this bonus by 5% for each allied hero nearby when Inspire is cast. Now, the idea I used to have behind picking this talent was not only that it gave me movement speed, but it also gave my teammates movement speed. So it basically gave, like, right at level 7, you'd have a way to give your team a way to escape engagements. Like one press of the W, everybody has a means to run away. Kind of similar, kind of akin to the monk with his Breath of Heaven ability that gives you a speed boost, or if you talent build him for a speed boost on his Q ability, it's the same thing. That's what Revolution Overdrive used to accomplish on Raynor. Now, however, again, they reworked his talents, and I mentioned it earlier. I started building Raynor for manual healing with his E ability. Now, the original manual heal used to be located at level 4. Now it has been reworked into fight or flight, where whenever Adrenaline Rush activates, it also grants resistance, which is very handy. It basically gives you a shield. It reduces damage taken by 25% for 4 seconds. And Adrenaline Rush, that's the big one. Adrenaline Rush can also be manually activated. Once you get this ability, you can queue it up right at level 7. Now remember everything that I said about the synergy of damage between the buff, Seasoned Marksman at level 1, and focus attack at level 4. Your damage is going to be, it's just going to continue getting that much more potent as the game goes on. And now at level 7, you have an extremely viable source of healing. And the cooldown time is nothing crazy. You should absolutely be able to stay alive long enough to get another heal on deck. And it's still the best thing about this ability is that even though you can manually activate it, it still automatically goes off if you still, like, the original value of the ability never goes away just because you make it a manual heal. And I just wanted to point that out in case anybody's worried about that, like, oh, it's manual now, so now it won't automatically save me if I'm too low, like if I forget about it. That's absolutely false. It still goes off automatically pending that you're not on a cooldown. We're going to skip through level 10 because, again, you want to go Hyperion. I already covered that, so I'm not going to rehash old grounds. Level 13, there really is still no better option. I mean, like, I see a lot of people going with double barrel so that they can have 2 penetrating rounds, but there's really, like, the fact that this pushes people around kind of negates the need to have 2 charges of this, in my opinion. So I don't think that it's worth it. I actually feel like, again, you want a theme, like I mentioned it in my old build videos, you want some kind of theme to link through your build. You want some kind of common theme, and that's why Giant Killer still remains the best option in level 13, because your basic attacks against enemy heroes deal bonus damage equal to 1.5% of the hero's maximum health. You always like percentage damage on heroes like this because, again, I'm not going to go back. I pointed it out. The synergy at level 1 and 4 with the buff. Now you add on Giant Killer, and you're just doing that much more damage on enemy heroes. It is absolutely crazy how good Raynor is now. Like, he is in such a good place right now after this latest buff, and It's just something that you have to take advantage of. Like, you should really be taking advantage of Raynor now before like other people catch on to it, like on a hardcore level, because it's not like it's a secret. Like, people know he's OP now, but it's still something that you still see people hesitating to pick him for whatever reason. I guess it has a lot to do because he's a starter hero. Me personally, I don't let that kind of thing affect me. If a hero's good and I like to use him, god damn it, I'm gonna use him. So at level 16, I used to go. I see people going Berserk, which you active. It's an active ability that you activate to increase your attack speed by 40% and movement speed by 10% for 4 seconds. That's actually not bad, but I actually get both things taken care of elsewhere. Like, I get attack speed from Inspire as it is, and I get movement speed. I also get a little bit of movement speed from Inspire as well. Like, there's no real reason for me to use up an active slot at level 16 to accomplish things that I already have abilities to accomplish. And as you'll see at level 20, I get even more attack speed and range anyway. So again, it's not worth it to me to use it on Berserk when you have those two areas covered by other abilities. So what I used to do, when I first originally used Raynor, I used to like Cluster Round because the penetrating round does more damage per target hit and has like it. The damage is increased by 20% for each additional target, hit up to 100%, and the width was increased by 50%. The width portion of this talent was what I liked because then like it gave me a source of emergency wave clearing. Like that's the only time I would use it is if I was in a jam and I wanted to get some stacks in a hurry. I could just use a Q right down a straight line and knock out an entire wave with just one shot. That would literally be the only time I would wave clear. But then I started moving on to Bullseye, and this ability, the first enemy hit by penetrating round is stunned for 1.5 seconds. This also used to have, I believe, a 20% damage increase on this ability, which was insane. Like, I loved it, and I fully understand why they patched it to remove the damage portion. But with that being said, Raynor's damage is so good now that I don't know. I don't feel like I missed the. I mean, obviously, you always want more damage. You always want more damage. There's no such thing as having enough damage. But it's not really that big of a deal because he makes up for it with his regular abilities. And again, if you build him the way I built him, at this point you're not going to need that extra 20%. But the stun is still extremely good, and that's exactly why I still go with Bullseye, despite the fact that there's no damage boost anymore. I still pick it because the stun is very, very good, and it's nice to have something to add to his Q ability, even if it is the late game. It's just something that, like, you can knock ETCs off of their mosh pits, like you can knock Sonya's off of their whirlwinds. There's a number of things you could do with stuns, and having that on your Q ability, considering how far away you already are, it does loom pretty large, and it's something that's a nice little addition at the end of the game. At level 20, they actually reworked a card to play to be even better. Whenever a hero, ally, or enemy is killed, the cooldown of your heroic ability is reduced by 15 seconds. Sorry if that dog is noticeable outside. Whatchamacallit, this used to be 10 seconds, basically. That's what they buffed. They buffed about this ability. The cooldown used to be reduced by 10 seconds, and now it's 15 seconds. So that actually does make a big difference. However, it's still a talent that I do not pick. Conventional wisdom would tell you to go Bolt of the Storm. I think this is still one of the best talents in the game. It gives you instant escapability at level 20, and it's something that you generally want to pick on most assassins. But for me personally, I know how to position myself, and I know how to disengage, so I don't really waste it on Bolt of the Storm. I like going for the full jugular with Nexus Frenzy, which increases your attack speed by 20% and attack range by another 20%. So basically, you can turn Raynor into a sniper at this point with insane amounts of auto attack damage, and then he's shooting even faster. It's just a really, really good time at the enemy team's expense. The new Raynor is an absolute monster on the damage front, and he's a ton of fun to use regardless of his kit, if you will. So just to briefly wrap up the first half of this video, level 1, you want to go Seasoned Marksman to add to his auto attack damage. Again, they buffed this ability so that hero takedowns count as 3 minion kills, and for every 6 minion kills, you get a stack. Something that you definitely want to stay dedicated to. You don't get much out of this ability unless you work at it, so that's just something to keep in mind. Level 4, you get Perfect Synergy with Focus Attack, which basically every 10 seconds you get another 75% of damage added on heroes. and each following auto attack lowers the cooldown by 1 second. Excuse me. At level 7 is when you finally get some sustain on your build. You go fight or flight. This basically gives you the ability to manually activate your healing, and it also gives you a shield for 4 seconds, which looms very large. It's a very, very good, viable ability, and it's a way to have your cake and eat it too. You get all of your damage at level 1. You get to keep your damage properties at level 1 and 4, and then you add your healing at level 7. Level 10, you want to go Hyperion, because this is the absolute wisest choice for lane pushing, wave clearing, if you will. There's just so many benefits that this heroic has that there's no viable option not to use. There's no viable reason not to pick it. Level 13, you want to go Giant Killer to add health percentage damage. Makes your auto attacks that you've been building up from level 1 that much stronger, and again, you pair that with focus attack, and you're just a damaged juggernaut. Level 16, you want to go Bullseye to add a stun ability to your Q, and basically this gives you a way to interrupt things. This gives Raynor one option of crowd control if he so desires, and it's just something that I feel like is very, very good, and it's easy to overlook. So you definitely want to go Bullseye. And level 20, you want to put icing on the cake with Nexus Frenzy to add even more attack speed and attack range to your already solid attacking build. Again, this is, from my estimations and from what I played, this is the absolute best DPS build. But again, as is the case with all of my build videos, this does not leave you one-dimensional by any stretch. You will have a way to heal, and you will have a way to stun people and crowd control, all that good stuff. So hopefully we see you back in the second half of this video. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. As always, this is Achilles LBT. That's Achilles with the Z. Remember it.